Just listen. Welcome to Just Listen Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Pack, and today we're going to be talking about coffee. First things first, who am I to be talking about coffee? I am no coffee expert. In fact, I don't even drink a lot of coffee, nor do I need it. Which explains why I don't drink a lot of coffee. But I am very interested in coffee. Coffee mainly because I am a baker, and so what pairs great with coffee but pastries. And so I've been learning a lot about coffee, and so this episode is mainly for those who are interested to learn more about coffee and for the home brewer to make better coffee. Almost. Not really. It's not really how to. This is like pretty much the basics of coffee and what is coffee. So here we go. First, what is coffee? How is it made? First, you have the coffee plants, and these produce coffee berries. So, why is it called a coffee bean? One is really more like a pit or a seed than it is a bean in it, because coffee berries look like cherries. And so that's interesting, why the terminology there. But here we go. So coffee grows in the bean belt, which is between the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer. In other words, it's 23 north of the equator and 23 south of the equator. Between this is the coffee belt where coffee grows well and thrives. It's the most common type of plant is the Arabica. Hopefully I'm saying that. It's the most common, and is most common because generally it has the most milder taste. And then you have the Robusta, which is less common because it produces a more bitter coffee, from what people say. And this is all comes from How Stuff Works, or his website. Right? And so these berries are then picked by hand and then go through one of two ways to get to the seed, the pit, the bean. I'm just going to call it bean because that's what it's generally called. Okay, and so it either goes through a drying method, which is completely just drying in the sun and just kind of stirred around and dried until there's about 11% moisture. Yeah, and then the beans are hulled. Or the wet method, which is the pulp of the cherry is removed within 24 hours of harvesting and by machine washing them away. Then it's fermented in tanks for roughly 12 to 48 hours. And this is to remove the slimy layer. And then the beans are dried. And then after they're dried, at this point, beans may be polished to remove the last little bit of covering. But then they go into sorting and shipped. And this is what is called green coffee and is unroasted. So it's shipped green. And roasters and other distributors will roast the coffee. And depending on how you roast it, we will get different flavors. And so this is where it starts to vary. So you have different levels of roast. You have light roast, medium, dark, ranging between those, right? And that affects the flavor of it. And what else affects flavor and taste are the brewing methods. And so this will be the last part. All right, is how you brew coffee and how this affects flavor and taste. And so I'm not really going to go into that, but things that you need to control when brewing coffee is the grind size, the amount of coffee grounds to water, and the water. So, water obviously is tasteless and it only has flavors through minerals and other things that are dissolved in it. And so, but you don't want hard water, which is most tap water and like all these other chemicals. You want to use filtered water, right? And you don't want to have these hard deposits, especially if you have machines, and it's kind of building up in your coffee machines. And so it's good to have filtered water, and that's why you want to use filtered water. And so these harsh minerals not only mess up your machines, but also can potentially affect flavor as well. And secondly, coffee oxidizes, and so this is why they're stored or packaged airtight. And so when you're using coffee, whether it's ground or whole beans and you're grinding them yourself, store in airtight containers because it will oxidize. And so you want fresh beans, the fresher the better in that sense. When it comes to amount of water and coffee, that is your preference. So I'm not going to tell you what is the right ratio, what is the magic ratio. That's basically on your preference of how strong, how weak, what flavors you want more of, and stuff like that. And so if you want ratios, you can just look them up for like a general idea of coffee ratios. But the next thing I'm going to talk about is grind size. And so grind size really is dependent on how you're brewing your coffee. So kind of going from coarse to fine of things that I researched and looked up and know about generally. Right? So the coarsest generally will be your cold brew. You want a coarse because it's just sitting in water for such a long period of time, and you want a coarse grind size. And so likewise, like a French press is similar, and so you also kind of want a coarse grind. And then you have your medium grinds, and this is your pour overs, your drip, your filter coffees, the Chemexes are a medium grind, and you can adjust medium fine to medium coarse depending on the flow of water that you want through it. And then you have the next more of a medium fine is your mocha pots. And then you want fine for espressos. So this is your espressos, and most of your coffee drinks are made from espressos. So a fine grind is necessary. And then the very finest, almost instant coffee like grind you need is for Turkish coffee. And this is, if you've seen the videos, this is the little coffee pot in the sand deal. That's Turkish coffee, and that's the finest grind that I've found. So those are your grind sizes with your brewing method, and of course there's a bunch of brewing methods and products out there in these same categories. But for the home brewer, right, dial in your grind size to your brew method and taste. Is this to your liking? And we will probably definitely next week, we'll talk about coffee drinks. And what are they? What's in them? And so on. Here we go. And that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Bye.